We're known as the fastest ice in the world, and that's what our drawing card is for internationally. That's what brings people here. That's what brings us the events that we have. That's what brings all the athletes from all over the world. So we want to maintain that. So it's a huge part of our programming for sure. Ultimately, when the ice is in, the ice is a big focus for sure. And the quality of the ice for us is what keeps our reputation going.
This is our compressor room, our plant room. This is where all the cooling takes place in the building. Yeah. It's actually pretty quiet in here right now. We don't have a lot of draw on the rinks. They're not calling for any cooling, so everything's kind of quiet right now.
I've been here since May of '87, so I've been here for almost 26 years. Since before the building was finished, actually. We started here, a couple of us, before the building was complete, which is a great way to get into a building. You start to see the stuff behind the scenes that you wouldn't really see if you walked into it later. So you see how things were built and where the problems might be and where the best parts of the building are. I've been every spot in this building that you could name. I've been on the roof, I've been on the light trusses, everywhere. So yeah, I've seen pretty much everything there is to see here. Well, the ice is, it's about a 2-week process to put all the ice in. So we start by cooling down the concrete. So we're running cold brine, cold salt water through the pipes underneath. Bring the concrete down till it's well below zero, and then we start putting the water on slowly.
So in here, this is just the basement of the oval, I guess you would call it. These are all our cooling pipes and our water pipes and so forth like that. If you just look up there, those are all our brine lines that go to the north rink. So the brine pumps, we have 3. There are 2 always running in tandem, and if we have issues with one, then we can shut it down and bring on a spare. In the past, 10 years, we've actually tried to be more conscientious about the amount of water we use and waste, just to try and conserve water for costs and environmentally. We got our cooling supply return lines. And that's just what makes the floor cold and keeps our ice in the building.
So usually we'll spray the ice or the surface a few times to make a small base, and then the ice is all painted white. We build a little bit more ice, and then we start putting down all the markings. So on the oval would be all the dots, all the lane markers, the start and finish lines. On the hockey ice, of course, you'd have the blue lines and any other logos. So all that gets put in above the white paint. Very few people know that. They expect that you turn on the refrigeration and you spray water and everything turns white. But if you put water on your sidewalk at home, it's the same sort of thing. It'll look like wet concrete. So yeah, we put a couple of layers down, and that just seals the concrete and gives us a good bond between the ice and the concrete. And then we put a layer of paint down. So we use about 500 gallons of a water-based, kind of a clay-based paint here, and make everything nice and white. And after that, we just start to build the ice up slowly with using hoses until we get about 1 inch. And once we're at 1 inch of ice, then we start bringing the ice resurfacers out, the Zambonis that we use here. Hot water, putting the hot water down and kind of melding all the layers of ice together, and that's our finished product.
So we've got 2 hockey rinks, international sized hockey rinks, and we also have the long track speed skating oval. The north rink is for short track speed skating, and that involves matting for the athletes in case they fall during competitions. We try to keep that ice thickness to about 1.25 inches, and we use domestic water on the short track rink so the skaters have grip in the corners. Domestic water has all the minerals in it. It adds to the grip and it helps the athletes when they're pivoting. Demineralized water we use on the south rink and the oval ice. This helps in the glide and the long distance races.
The hot water really brings it all together. The hardness of the ice is more a product of the temperatures that we use. So for the figure skating ice, we'll use a fairly warm ice, and it's soft, so that when they jump, they're not bringing big divots of ice out. The speed skating ice would be the hardest ice we have, so it's a lot colder. And the whole idea there is that the speed skaters want to be able to get a good push, but they want to get as much glide as possible. So we make it harder, faster, and then they get a lot more glide for each push, and it's less effort expended.
Well, to make fast ice, you want to get warm. You want the top layer, the air on top of the ice, to be slightly warmer. Skates glide on a thin layer of water. It's not really the ice, they're on water. So if you can assist that, then obviously it's going to be less resistance for the skaters. In this building, they've put in a new vent system, air handling units and so forth, to help get the warm air from the ceiling down onto the ice level. And that's one of the things that we've learned through the years, and that they've actually gone and installed to assist us in making fast ice. Well, unfortunately, right now there's no schooling for this. Our full-time crew, I think between the 6 of us, there's 140 years of experience in this building. So it's basically trial and error, learn as you go, and once you find something that works, you stick with it and you just tweak it every chance you can.
I wouldn't say I'm the master. I learned from the senior guys that work here, and I've definitely learned a lot. And it is cool because there's this is only covered oval in Canada, and there's only a few in North America. So we really do have an advantage of being able to learn a ton because of the facility that we have here.
Sure, we have pretty high standards, and some of our staff have gone elsewhere. And when you go and see how other arenas are run, it's a real eye-opener on how far we've developed our ice-making skills.
Right down to the way they patch the ice. Make sure we don't use too much CO2, because we know now that if you use too much CO2 to really freeze it quick and make it work sooner, ice gets even more brittle. So there's got to be a fine balance between some of these things, and it's all, like you say, it's all been developed over the last 25 years.
When skaters dig into the ice, take a chunk out, we have to get on the ice right away. We don't want to delay the competition, make it run longer than it has to. We just use basically slush, a drier slush and some CO2 from a fire extinguisher.
That's kind of intense. It just freezes the ice instantly. So because the races are going on right away, we need that ice to not be patched. We also need it to be frozen and ready to skate on 10 seconds after we do it. So that's kind of the tough part. Patching it, it's fine, but it's got to freeze, and the CO2 just kind of gives it that instant shock freeze. The second you hold, one or two more seconds on the trigger, the CO2, the ice will just shatter. It'll crack. It's just too much. It's too much of an instant shock on the water in the hole and the ice around it. And so you got to be pretty smooth at knowing when's enough. Kind of a technique. You get used to it after you've cracked it a few times and learned from that.
The guys that are patching the ice aren't new guys. It's the guys that have got years of experience. They get out there and and we train everybody who does the patching. So if they've been out there, we've trained them how to do it.
There's not a manual. A lot of what we do, we've learned it, or we've developed it here. We've done a lot of different things over the 25 years, and we haven't been scared to try new things. And also to our advantage is that we've gone out to other ovals. So I've been to probably 20 different ovals in the world. And each oval you go to, you give something to them and you bring something back. So the things we saw in Japan, the way they had carts made for emergencies is something we bring back. Some of the ways we sprayed the ice in Germany is something we can bring back and use here. And at the same time, we give them tips and show them different things that we've tried here. So a lot of what we do, everything that we've done has been developed over those 25 years, and we're still looking at changing things. So
it's really shocking, and when you have new guys come into the building, especially in our department, they're a little intimidated at first, because you start talking about different ice conditions, the air temperatures, number of people in the building, and they get a little intimidated because they're not used to that kind of talk about ice. Usually it's most rinks, you go out, you flood the ice for the next hockey group, and you get off. It's all done. So the building temperature rises with the more people. If we had all the lights on in the building, you would also have the heat rise as well. A prime example, if you ever watched a Flames game or you've been to one, when they get all the TV lights on and all the fans in there, the heat in that building is incredible. And for them to maintain the ice when there's all that heat in there is something else.
I originally started making the ice for the Calgary Flames down in the Saddledome in 1983. So I started learning the trade down there from a couple of people and picked it up, I think, fairly quick. And then when we moved up here to the oval, the big difference between hockey ice and what we do here is the attention to detail, and the fact that We have to have an operator on the resurfacer at the end of the day that really knows what he's doing. It's all about the detail in the end and keeping it all clean. Any of the dirt that gets into the ice or impurities in the ice will take the edge off the speed skates. Oh, the Zamboni is a big part of the final finish. So you've got to have an ice machine that will do a really good job. It's got to be able to put the water down. For the new ice, it's got to be able to shave the old ice off, and actually it washes the ice as it goes over too. And of course with the Zamboni itself, the other thing that comes with that is having the operator that knows how to run all that stuff. We could put a dog on the machine, he can drive it around the rink if you train him enough, but you have to have somebody that knows how to control the water, control the amount of snow you're cutting off, the amount of wash water you're using, and all the different factors.
What you have here is your ice making water. And this is the water you'll see when the Zamboni's flooding. That's what everybody sees. That puts a nice finish on the ice. And then we have our wash water. Now this water goes out, sprays the ice and gets any dirt and debris up out of the cracks in the ice. Cleans it up, and then we suck up all that water. There's a pump and a vacuum under there, and it sucks up all the water. When most people see a Zamboni, what they think is shaving the ice is actually this auger here. And that's what people think cuts the ice. But in reality, there's a blade on the bottom of this conditioner on a plate that we can adjust the angle. That cuts the snow, which builds up on top of the blade. And then the augers pulls the snow to the center. And then we've got a vertical auger that pulls the snow out and spits it into the dump tank. And it's all adjustable right here. So we can this is what this wheel does. This adjusts the angle of the blade. This is a 700 blade, okay? And this is a 525 blade. They are so sharp, there have been cases where guys have been changing the blades, because we all do it manually. They have cut off a finger and they didn't even realize it. Yeah, so you got to be extremely careful with these, and yeah, the newer machines are all digital. Well, some of them are. They have electronic water, electronic blade leveling. Everything's done by the machine. All you have to do is push buttons. But here we like to do everything manually: the water, the blade controls, and so forth. And when it comes to World Cups, the ice has to be perfect. So you want to make sure that you're dead on.
It's awesome because you learn a lot about how the ice feels as a skater. So when I'm making it now, I can relate to how it actually feels on the ice, and when a skater's saying it's too hard or it's too breaky or it's too soft or it's this or that, I know exactly how that is.
Like you had mentioned before, it's almost an art to be able to feel the machine. We use our sight, our hearing, and the feel of the machine to know what it's doing, where the ice is, and everything else. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're the best operators in the world. Yeah, when it comes to these machines, yeah, we know what we're doing.
It was interesting when we first started here in '87. There was an article written in a Dutch newspaper that said that myself and Cam McLeod were a couple of the ice makers at the time, and the article said that they had a couple of ham-fisted hockey drivers and the results were going to be a failure. And so we kind of took that personally, and right from November of 1987, we've been trying to silence the critics. I think we've done that.
Yeah, when a world record is broken, you get shivers up your spine. Yeah, it's incredible. It's really an exhilarating experience. To be in the building when it happens is something else as well. And we try to set the bar pretty high. Other rinks around the world gun for our records, and we hold quite a few. And we're always breaking new ones.
Ultimately, there's somebody somewhere that has a book that says this ice is faster than that ice because here's all their best times, and we want to be there. I mean, I'll make no bones about it. We take a lot of pride. The whole team, the whole building takes a lot of pride in having that, and it's a team effort that does it.